I think we should like look at each other. So maybe in a circle, so that we connect with our eyes and get more intimate connection or whatever. Hello. Яркий, меня заспечи. What was the panel name? How to survive as game dev. I did not do my homework. No, I'm kidding. Okay, are we? Not yet. Let's wait for 2 minutes for everyone to gather, and then we can start. How you doing today? Good. Yeah. Ramiz, did you had lunch? Was it good? Yeah. Mehak? Yeah, it's good. It's good. Super. Okay, so we okay to start, right? You guys want us to start? You don't mind? Great. Okay, so the panel is called "How to Survive as a Game Dev Company in 2024," which is a fancy way of saying life is tough now. So we're gonna try to talk about weird things, and hopefully that will give you an advice how you can solve your problems, and we will have fun while doing that. That is the plan. Okay, cool. So I just want to quickly introduce everyone, and then we get there. And I have this written. So on the left from me is Petros Kyriakosyan. He's CEO and founder at Next Epic. So we have a bunch of game dev background there. We have Harut Amirkhanyan, director of growth and marketing at Advertiser, and we have Ramiz Trtovac, right? That's how you say it. Cool. So head of UA at GameDev Consulting, right? So we have 2 people from user acquisition, and we have also me. My name is Avetis Zakarian. I'll be moderating this panel talk, and I'm also CEO at Roguebite Games. So we have 2 game developers, 2 user acquisition, but we're all here for the same thing, right? And we care about all this thing working. So user acquisition is a undeniable part of that now. So I guess we just get started. I think so. I want us to quickly go through the following list. I want to talk about challenges right now in the market, and then trends, and then maybe can dive into like solutions. So let's just go like this. I would say, Petros, what do you think are the current sort of challenges and maybe trends in the industry? Yeah, I can. Oh, yeah. You ask them. Okay.
Okay, guys. I'm not sure that it's working, but it seems like.
No, you need to. This is muted now. I think it should be green. No, try now.
Can you hear me? Oh, now it's better.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So basically, for the challenges, I guess the most important challenge for now, I guess, is the user acquisition. I would say, because everyone knows that the CPIs are going up and never going down. So we have to acquire users, and we have to earn way higher than we acquire them. So basically, this is the main challenge, the marketing, because the development is something that you can come up with, but the marketing, the user acquisition, the budgets there are pretty intense right now. So basically, this is the main challenge, I guess. But there are kind of good trends that you can somehow get rid of that high CPIs. So one of them I would like to mention is the fake ads.
Fake ads.
Fake ads, yeah. So
yeah. Let's talk about fake ads.
Yeah.
The big, okay.
So yeah. Fake ads is another huge topic that we can talk about, but
Does it still work for you like nowadays?
Yes, it works, and it works pretty well, and like developers going further and further in that way. So it's somehow not anymore fake ads.
Okay.
So basically, you show something, it's not your main core gameplay, but you still have it in the game. So it's something like, you know, I feel like it's like a trend from the 2023.
So just put it into context for everyone. Just correct me if I'm right. So when you go on Facebook and there is some kind of guy that is using a screwdriver to screw something, and everyone is like, "Oh my God, what's that?" And then boom, you have a gameplay. That's what we're talking about, right?
No. This is something that you catch attention, like for the user who like scrolling the newsfeed or the reels or something like that. But the other one is that when you see the gameplay, actually, like, I don't know how to say that. So
What do you mean like fake gameplay? They're not the one.
Exactly. It's like not that much fake, but still it's fake. Yeah, exactly. Not related. I mean, there are plenty of examples for I don't know, play rigs and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure you all seen that. You all hate that ads, but that's the thing that we should do. So yeah, that's the kind of a trend for 2023, and it goes still goes that way. So you change the screenshots in the App Store page, you do that, and another one, if you let me to continue, how they leverage, like the developers, how they leverage that. So basically, there's another way to go. Like you see a gameplay, let's say like a merge game, right? So you show it has the creatives has like pretty low CPIs. So you show that gameplay, and the game is actually, you think it's a merge game, but like in, I don't know, 2 days you figure out it's not a merge game. It's like a mid-core RPG game. So this is the way that they lower the CPIs. So yeah, basically those are the trends, I guess, that will be in 2024.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right, thanks. Harut, maybe you can share your position on this, and then we'll.
Of course. Hi everyone. Basically, we're talking about the changes. The biggest challenge right now, like everyone is facing, it's a iOS problem. What we are seeing after the scan started to be introduced to the people, it's mean that the traditional way that we used before for the attribution, it's no more working, which means that we need to rely on the data which Apple is giving us. And we know that this data is not that much, let's say, present the real user data. It's some kind of merge of the data. You are not seeing the user level data, let's say. And for that reason, right now, if you want it to be successful, you need to start to fighting with the challenge, which means that you need to set up your games, your application in the right way to start to working with the scan networks. It means that inside of your system, you need to integrate the right thing. Let's start, if we're talking about it. The first thing that you need to do to start receiving data from the Apple, it's a ATT prompt. When you are introducing it inside of your app or the game, you are starting to receiving this number. The next part is you need to start to working with the MMP, mobile attribution partners, to be able to pass all this data. Like you need to make the connection. You need to set up your scan schema. Basically, if also so for people to understand, like when Scott introduced, there is a 64 bits which you need to fill, and you need to start receiving all your events on revenue, which from the iOS, from the Apple, and you need to set up all the necessary things from your ecosystem to start to working. And later you will also send all these events to the networks. Let's say if you are working with the Google, with Facebook, with TikTok, whoever who are supporting the SCAD, this system should work, like basically. And I think this is the biggest challenge right now, and a lot of people, they are struggling with it and trying to understand how the system is working, how to set up. But also right now, another big challenge is coming, because we know that the Android also introduced some privacy sandbox, which means the same kind of things will start to happening with Android. And we know why its CPI also starting to increasing. This is because of this issue, because it's no more user level information. We are not understanding. We are receiving like more complex data, and we need to understand. But let's say some big guys, they already work, they are already doing the test, and they somehow pass of this. But for the people who are just starting, who are just Indian game developer, it's a little bit challenging. But first things, guys, you need to understand that it's mandatory. You need to start to working with the SCAD. You need to understand the system, and you need to set it in the right way. Why it's important? Because without having it, also there is a problem to start to working with the channels. For example, like I can bring one example from the Facebook. Let's say you are running the campaigns, you are spending some kind of budgets there, but you are saying your CPI is higher, or you are not receiving enough number, and you are thinking that your campaign is not working correct. But in reality, it can be totally opposite, because you are not receiving the real signals. It means that in the SCAD, they have set up the threshold. For example, for the Facebook, it's 75 installs. If you are bringing below this number, you are not receiving any kind of events, the revenue, anything. And it's mean like maybe you will think that your campaign is not working, but in reality it's working. It's mean that you need to understand like what you need to do to start to passing this threshold. It's mean that you need to set up the right budget for this. You need to use the right creative to start to having all these 75 installs. This is only for Facebook. The same kind of things is happening for each network. On each network they have some kind of own system. Let's say for the Google it's 120, for the TikTok it's 80. But when you are working with the network, you need to basically understand this process.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
And I guess Ramiz, I'm interested what do you have to add to that, but also maybe in the context of like, so, okay, we talked about we have issues, we have problems, that's not easy, it's getting harder, but like what should average developer do then, right? So, yeah.
Okay, I want to emphasize first that I see here like two side big challenges from the mobile game developers and the PC games developers, because the problems are different, and the topic is about how to survive 2024, right? So
also 25
and 25, right? I see, for example, for PC console developers, because I would say constant touch with them, the biggest issue that it's happening is the finding a right publisher. You know, it's very hard and challenging, especially in this, I don't know, economic crisis and whatever happening in the world now. People are not investing that much money. Finding a publisher is really a struggle. So only tip there I can advise to the people is somehow try to find a way to survive and build the best in order to find publisher for your game. On the other side, I agree with the people on the stage about mobile gaming issues, which can be privacy challenges, which can be creatives. That are, I think, two main things to tackle. But there is, I think, some solutions that you can overcome those stuff. You know, you can focus on building some fake gameplay for your game. I would add that you should not overlook also the post-install metrics, because in my experience, you can have the good results, which can be initially good, like CPI, CTR, IPMs. But if you take a look long term, like which person stays, retention, drop off ROAS, you will actually see that it's better to pay higher one user that will stay longer, rather to paying lower amount of money for user to drop off by, I don't know, 7 days. So I think there is, yeah, definitely but it all depends which stage you are. You know, I see, because I used to work with small and big gaming companies. For the small ones is the how to start, you know, how to do initial start, because all of this is happening, where should be our focus on, you know. So I'll try to just quickly give like 1-2 tip if you are starting iOS or Android. Usually people develop first Android app, then go for the iOS. But if you're developing Android app, if you want to use user acquisition as your marketing tool to boost your user base, you can go Facebook or Google, because it's the, I think, fastest way to learning and give you some growth. And for the iOS, I would suggest 2 networks which are not maybe mentioned here, but they can be really good at a smaller scale, like Apple Search Ads or maybe Unity Ads, because they are really good and you can target users based on the exact keywords, which is kind of highest intent. You are targeting people who is actually looking for something that you are developing. And for example, on Unity, you can target per category. You are targeting users who are interested only in the RPG, let's say. So that's what I would say for it.
Okay. I just want to add that You talked about like what should small game developers do, and I think like I have one trick that that worked for us that I can share is that you should actually start making one game but then make another, and from it you should pivot. And here's the reason: is that because if you said that you need to have good metrics, right? You need to make sure that users spend a lot. But to have good metrics, you need to have good analytics to fix them, right? But you cannot have good analytics on in-app purchases that don't happen often in beginning of your product, because you don't have like thousands of users if you're a small game dev company. So what you should do is you should focus on ads only, like making money on ads only, because that's the measurable and fixable thing in the beginning. And then once you got that working, you should be like, okay, let's change the plan. Now we're doing in-app purchases. So this sort of approach helps if you don't have budget to just pour in tons of users when you don't know if that money will come back or not. So yeah, that's for me. As far as platforms goes, I was just curious if you guys have any platform in mind that is working right now for you. Like, is it Facebook? Is it TikTok? Is it Uplovin? What is it that you guys think this is the the new trend, whatever? What is working now? Maybe start with you.
Now start.
Yeah.
I would say.
Is it green?
Test. Okay, it's working. Yeah, I would say it depends on the scale. If you talk about smaller scale, what works for me and my clients, it's usually, and I will divide it on iOS, Android. Facebook and Google is working good on the for smaller scale, and on the iOS, I would say Iron Source, Unity, and Apple Search Ads. On the higher scale, however, I think for the iOS DSPs, like if you are not aware what are DSPs, it's kind of algorithmic way to buy traffic from different SSPs like Applovin, Iron Source, Unity. And I would dare say that Moloko, Liftoff, and Smadex are working really good. And Applovin. Applovin is, I think, best performing iOS network, but in order to launch Applovin, you need to spend at least $500 a day, which is not available for everyone. On the other side, on high scale Android, I would say Google and Facebook still be good really at higher scale, but then you should include also DSP as well. So that's based on my experience.
Okay, and actually, just if you have something to add on that topic, then please do. But I was curious about the following: is that is there any kind of tactic that you guys think that is, like, for example, the more we push users to, you mentioned fake ads and stuff like that, right? And the more we push that, the people get annoyed by that, and it gets harder and harder and harder. Yet the problem that pushes CPI up still remains and will remain forever, probably, right? So do you think we're approaching sort of a line of no return, where this whole thing will crumble and we're all screwed and we should go home? Like, is this, like, are you scared of this kind of stuff? I don't know, maybe I would like to start with you, and, are we screwed?
If you are pushing CPIs up, basically it's assuming that your user quality can grow. Basically, guys, two things. I can say the level of CPI, it's not the main thing that you should look for. It's because it's for each game, for each app, it can vary, and you can find the user which can be high retainable with a high CPIs, and it can back out to you. Basically, you can reach to the 100% ROAS, like, I don't know, in the 30 days or in 120 days, I don't know, but your CPI can be $50, for example. But if you are reaching it, it's good for you. I don't know. Yeah, only the problem, it's a budget quantity that you have, the budget amount that you are spending. But anyways, I will suggest you guys at the beginning to focus on the LTV, on the retention types. As you mentioned, like, the fake ads, yeah, it's a good, you can do it, you can bring the user, you can have the quantity, but in the end of the day, like, basically, churn is also higher. But basically, based on the experience and what I'm seeing right now, the hybrid model is doing the best, which means in some certain level, when you want to scale, you should run CPI campaign. In the same time, you can start to use, I don't know, the fake ads or some kind of stuff, which is sticking for the user to try to have the lower CPI possible. But also, you need to focus on the ROAS. For example, you can try to show your gameplay and all this kind of stuff, which is really for the user who are interested for your game, and it's starting to bringing you very high retention. It's mean, but in totally, when you are looking in hybrid level, basically you are in the break-even point, and you are starting to growing. Why it's important? Because also, if you are only focusing on the ROAS, it means that the quantity of the user also will be small. But in the same time, you are having the CPIs with a high amount of the user, it's starting to pushing you up in the stores. In our Android, in iOS, it's working the same way. You are starting to growing on your category, it's starting to give you some organic boost, and it's look like on the snowball effect. You are starting to having more user, you are increasing. That's why the big player, basically, they are using these tactics. And also we mentioned about the networks. Like all these networks, also you need to use the right bucket of the networks because each of them is working differently. For example, my colleague, he mentioned about the programmatic networks such as Moloko or the Liftoff. You can target some events using there, some revenue events, and try to bring the user with high LTV. But also for this, for example, you need high budgets because they are passing the learning period. You can bring pretty good ROAS. But in same time, with this network, it's very hard also to get the cheap CPI. You need to maybe leverage other networks. I don't know, for example, the TikTok. You are using some kind of fake stuff or some kind of challenges which is happening in the TikTok. You are bringing like high amount of volume. It means that it's not, you don't need to only focus on one network. Maybe you need to use the bucket of it.
It looks extremely complicated to me in terms of, I want to, I'll get back, I want us to talk about Stealth Launch in a bit, but before I get there, like, do you honestly think a small studio of, I don't know, say 5 people that make games, they can pull this off, or no? Because that's super complex, right?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Basically, guys, what I will suggest, like everyone, before starting doing user acquisition, you need to make sure that your store listing is look right. I will suggest everyone to start doing ASO before jumping to the user acquisition. I know that at least you need to have some couple of users. Try to optimize your app store. Try to optimize your keywords there, your app title, your short description, long description, your all visual aspects. And when you are in the right spot, it's a benchmark. Apple and Google giving you the benchmark exactly. If you are in this benchmark, you are starting to receiving the users. And the benchmark, it's a conversion rate, basically. People who are coming to your page and who are installing it. When you are in the healthy period, it means that when you will start the user acquisition, your cost also will be in the healthy point. Because at the beginning, if you are just starting, I don't know, it's like 50-50. If you have bad conversion there, it means that your CPI also will be higher. That's why I highly recommend it, start to optimizing App Store listings there.
Got it.
It's easy, like for like
really hard for a small team.
Yeah,
okay.
for the small team, basically.
Okay. And I guess so. We're talking about we have this process of we made a prototype. It's kind of fun to play in our team. We can play it and we like it. We have our store listing done, right? So ASO is kind of okay. Petros, maybe you can share like what do you think would be the next steps for a proper soft launch for a small company? What they should be like? What are the common tropes and mistakes not to do from your perspective?
Sure. So basically what I would recommend to like every team that starts, I would recommend them to divide it by stages, you know, like just to say like something like this, you know, develop a game and release it. It's like a bit something wider. So you divide it by stages. You have like your tech launch, like you are just simply acquire users like $100, $200 and you are there. So in somewhere in Philippines or somewhere there. So you make sure that your SDKs, everything like analytics are working well. So you do that, and just after that you go like step by step. You improve your engagement of the game, retention, monetization. Then you go to the like a main soft launch and then global launch. So basically, for every indie game developers, I would recommend, even though if you are not going to self-publish, you are not going to I don't know, do it yourself, I would recommend to have couple of those stages done before pitching your product to the publisher.
Is it because you get better deal if you have already better skill?
Definitely. I mean, whenever you talk to publisher, whenever you talk to someone, when you don't know about your KPIs, you don't know about like what's our KPIs and something like this.
Oh, that's bad.
So you don't have any bargaining power there. So you automatically become a developer, just a developer for a publisher. But this is not something that you want, I guess. You want to be a self-publisher. You want
to be the cool developer.
Yeah, you cool developer. Only developer. No. So basically, that would be my advice, to start like a small budget test to figure out everything is fine on your end, to have some KPIs, the retention, and those kind of metrics, and with those numbers, just go to the publisher. If you have something to fix, you can fix it easily, because sometimes you may fail the test of the publisher, like just because you have something wrong in the onboarding. So basically, if you fix that, you will have no problem with that.
But you mentioned there are several things you need to measure, right? Retention, you need to fix the engagement, you need to fix the monetization, you need to fix that, maybe onboarding. And you also mentioned stealth launches on, for example, Philippines, you said, right? Yeah, so I'm actually curious what Ramiz has to say on the topic of, like, what are the different, like, for whatever, if you're trying to measure retention, what would be the best country? If you're trying to measure monetization, what would be the best country? Like, should we just do all Philippines, or should we do that? I suppose I'm curious what you have to say, and then maybe we can.
Yep, I said it this way. So, like, initially, you can at least do the like the commercial test, like to figure out what's like the CPI, overall CPI, like what's the reaction to the game. You know, okay, you have a good CPI, you have like the game that is commercially like successful. Those tests you can do like easily. This is something for publisher actually, but for retention, for other metrics, you definitely should go based on your goals, where you plan to. The US, okay, you can target like an English-speaking countries. You like a bit costly, you can do the Canada, New Zealand, and like if you want to test your engagement and retention, because those countries are like with the culture, they are super close to US, and also some other European countries as well. So you can get those information in that market.
Okay. And Ramiz, if you can talk about what your perspective on that is, like, what do you think are best countries? But then when you're done, let's talk about honeymoon. Honeymoon. You know what honeymoon issue is on the user acquisition? You guys know?
It's not working anymore.
No? Okay, let's you do that.
Test. Okay, it's working. I will add maybe just one thing, because you mentioned like 5 people sit and they are trying to make the game. I think there is one mistake which is so often done by mostly small gaming studios, which I was part of as well, is we are trying to build a new Call of Duty, new GTA 6 or whatever. It's very hard and very big project, so don't aim to do something that big as your first step. You should aim and do some market research about what potential categories you can tap into, which is not ultra competitive. I'll give you an example. The third-person shooter category has 45 million of downloads every month, which is ultra competitive. But if you go, for example, to the games category, you have 5 to 10 million of players, and you can easily tap into that market, have success. Regarding retention, I would agree with my colleague what he said. Aim and main goal is to test the English speak. Can go in some cheaper countries. Cheaper in the CPI, so you can go Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Thailand, whatever, which has huge amount of the English users player base, and then you can somehow count that to replicate, for example, in US, UK, and other countries. And for the honeymoon period,
I'll explain what I mean. It's our internal thing. I will explain definitely what I mean.
Okay.
I'm just curious what you guys think, because you both should maybe help me understand something that I don't understand. Now, what we observed when we were doing soft launches and that kind of stuff, we have prototypes. So we launch that in a soft launch, and on a Facebook, for example. And what we see is amazing KPIs, like super low CPI, great retention, great money comeback. We're like, oh my God, this is the one. We should marry her. And so what happens is that you then invest more into that game, and then boom, it goes down. And we call it the honeymoon phase. I don't know what you guys call it, but it's basically whenever you have this new title, Facebook sends you good users because it wants you to spend more, and then it like pulls the plug. So have you guys noticed that? How do we how do we be careful about this? And yeah, so first you and then.
Yeah, sure. It usually, I will follow up, comes with the scale. So you're probably testing with small budget at the beginning. And for example, you're spending, let's say, $50-$100 a day, and you get two quality users or whales, and they'll pay off the year.
Yes.
But test. This mic stop working.
Just directly.
Okay, directly. Whatever.
Don't change the angle.
I'm trying now. So when you do the scale, that's why I strongly suggest before the developing of the game to investigate about audience. You know, how big is that audience? How potentially you can convert? How much you can convert of them to your game? Because if you don't invest time into that, then you will came into that situation when you start spending $500 a day, and you will eventually end up seeing, okay, there is no much players that can convert and pay in this game. We should probably build something different.
Yeah, but that will be quite like later, right? You already invested maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, and then you find out. So is there a way to know that it's just Facebook being nice and sending you whales in the beginning?
I would say don't bother that much, because 2, 3, 4 weeks is just time
okay.
and process. Yeah, it's not like you need to wait 2 years, you know, to discover. Test it for a month, then sit down with your team, and then iterate for the next improvements.
And how do you give any advice to your clients in terms of how they should be careful? Because they can think that this is a great product, invest a ton of time in.
Yeah, basically the scale, I think it's a right way like to understand it, because if you are starting on the small scale, you can start to see a couple of users, because in the small scale, some people, they can make the noise in your data, and it can affect on your whole pictures. That's why, like, even if you are testing it, you need to test it in the big audience. Basically, the minimum what we are basically recommending in the first initial test, it's a 3,000 user that you need to bring during the week to understand your, maybe if you are aiming for understanding some retention, and it need to be from the one geo, because otherwise, like, your data will be, I don't know, messed, and you will not find the right signals there.
Yeah.
If we are talking about the Facebook, so to be honest with you, I don't think that the Facebook have some kind of, I don't know, tricks if it not sending or sending you the right user. It's just because of the scale. When you are working on the scale, it's starting more to stabilizing and finding you the right user. And also it's depend on the creatives that you are using, because in some cases, when people launching or people testing, they are using different types of creatives, and it's playing crucial role basically. I would suggest start in the little scale and start to scale little by little, and in the end of the day, you will understand where you are basically.
Okay, and so my previous talk that I had here was a lot about our failures, and I think because we're talking about what you should be careful and how not to do things, I want us a little bit talk about maybe stories from your lives, guys, and maybe we can start from Petros. Because you volunteered for that, you did volunteer for that. So we talked before, and so maybe you can say like what you did that was bad that others shouldn't do. And I'm curious then what we can have from marketing perspective, because it's probably different.
Yes, failures, we have bunch of them. And what we've learned, like the biggest message, I would say, like to not be slow.
Right.
Like
You guys say 3 weeks was fine.
So why I'm saying this, so basically we as a developers, we always want our game to be, I don't know, polished, nice, because what would other think of it? So those things are like making us super slow, and we sometimes lose the potential market, potential hype, and many those kind of things that or sometimes you make a game, it takes too long, and whenever you test it, you realize that it's not relevant anymore, or it's not simply work anymore. So basically, whenever you can have like 2-day content for your game. You are free to test it, free to understand is it a good idea or no, at least commercially. At least you can find out that like you're not a fake creative, your original creative that shows your gameplay as it is. Is it like interesting to the audience or no?
Have you tried making a video of an original gameplay
Yep.
without making actual gameplay, and then you send them to an APK file? They're just 30 seconds long, and then they're like, you know, you can go home, it dies, it crashes, as long as you just figure out the CPI. Have you tried that?
No. But what I have tried, there is a software, there is a tool, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember the name, but they make a fake App Store page listing. So this way you can pretty much test your theme settings of the game. Like, is it a good idea to have a cowboy
But
theme?
I think, am I right or wrong? Like, if you're measuring CPI, you need an actual install.
No, it's not about the CPI. It's about the CTR.
So
It's not a
CTR,
CTI.
Because we had campaigns where we measured CTI and everything was fine, then we measured CPI, like, and then it wasn't fine. So we tried to actually have the actual install, and that's why we need this 30 seconds. Just you can try. It's actually a legit way to test CPI.
Yeah, I'm talking a lot about the fake thing. So yeah,
So we got it.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Basically
Okay.
that's it.
And from marketing, maybe like you choose. You guys want to share your own failures or failures of your clients that you know that others shouldn't do?
Yeah, if we are talking about the failures, I will call it test, to be honest. Yeah, because yeah, I will call it test, and usually for our clients or for us, like we are suggesting like to give 10 to 50% of your budget to this test, to these fails, because without it, like guys, you can't find the right way, or you will not find some kind of hacks and tricks to be successful. Yeah, for sure. Always we are doing the fails, we are doing the test, and test can fails. But when you are finding some kind of interesting stuff, it can crush the market basically. And there is the let's say the surprise and the magic is happening when there is some kind of small things starting to work pretty good. For example, like I can bring, for one of our clients, we start to testing the content types of networks, like the Fluent. This is basically people starting to writing the blogs about your apps and anything, and they have a bunch of this kind of blog they're publishing there, and this network basically is owned this. Like we started testing on them, and for the bunch of our clients, we have find that this network is crashing. Like, but for some of them, for some of clients, it can also failure. But we come to this like basically when we failed for some days, and we find some cool stuff. And same can happening inside of the big guys also, in the Google, in the Facebook. There is some kind of setting, some kind of tricks. You should try, like you should fail. Like without it, no way like to go up.
For Google though, you should fail for entire month or longer, right? Because they say our network needs to train for 2 years, then you get old and.
Basically, if we're talking about the Google, there is a strict rule. It's a 14 days. When you are starting the campaign, they're telling you do not touch your campaign 14 days. Because the algorithms start to learning after this. Basically,
does it though? Like at the end, I'm just curious. We never try.
It's a hard. Not a lot of people they have that kind of patience to wait for it. But yes, if you have the right budget and you're waiting, the algorithm is starting to passing.
I thought Google is running huge scam campaign.
Yeah.
I'm curious what Ramiz said. No, like I'm curious what if you disagree.
Yeah, for the Google, as long as because Google is machine learning platform, so as long as Google get enough signals, you will get learnings faster. So it depends on how fast you're sending and how big budget you are investing in. Regarding the failures, I can share two of them quickly, which I remember so far. But
yours?
Yeah, okay. It's actually my team, whatever. But it's I think they were good ones in terms because we learned from them. You know, we failed. First of all, failed with the fake ads. So with the fake ads, we tried everyone. It was trend. Now I would say the trend is in decline now. But back I think 2 years ago, everywhere, and we was trying also to develop also fake ads, and we was initially amazed by results. Amazed, okay, double the CTR, lower CPI, great stuff. But in the month, we did like really in-depth analysis, and we saw how much people churned, how much people get off, and how much actually overall daily active users dropped, you know, because we changed the strategy. And then we kind of learned on the hard way that we kind of failed with making that decision, and then we got back to the more gameplay ads, and then we was trying to build something gameplay ads and adding some fake elements to increase the engagement. That was, I think, first failure that we have. And second one is underestimating, and we didn't know that much about our player base, you know. And I think that's something that also most of the game studios, they don't do any type of the research to find out about something about who is playing your game, what is this, who is that person, do you know it, you know. So after, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years in the studio, we have conducted 2 researches. One is I would say quantitative, one qualitative. Quantitative like within the game, quantitative with direct persons. We was amazed how we are wrong with knowing who is our person and what they care about. Then we really, I don't know, then we changed almost half of the gameplay and also the creative approach, because we was thinking, okay, these people are downloading our game core game audience, but we are not aware of it, who is actually that person, what they care about, etc. So what is their motivation, you know, to download and play our game. Then we kind of, when we find out, it was really a relief for us, and then change our direction where we go. So that's why.
Is this the kind of feedback loop that you as a UA person should give to the game studio, or they should figure it out themselves?
That was something that we shared with all the company. It was hugely important for every aspect of the company, because everyone needs to develop the product who is for that target person, you know. That's not only for us, it's important because we are building creatives, campaigns, targeting, but also for the product people to know, okay, this is the type of the person who is playing your game. This is what they care about. This is what they don't like. They don't want, I don't know, to send lives. They want to engage with the friends. They want to have some community in it. So you need all of that to develop.
Okay, thanks. I guess we covered a bunch of topics. I just want to recap so we don't forget. We covered the part where you should do a prototype, you should stealth launch it, you should make sure you measure your own KPIs, and then approach publishers so that they don't say you don't know what you're doing. And then you also navigate at parts where you know, initial parts with improving, doing marketing. We got to the part where you did all of that and you need to improve and actually create a successful product, right? Because these are all baby steps necessary for not to just delete your product. So how do you then finish it? What would be your, I don't think we have much time left, so I want to talk about like the most important bit, like, okay, you've gotten so far, here's what you need to do, and if you don't do it, you're screwed. And I suppose we just go like this.
Okay, I'll be ultra short. So most important thing, set clear objectives and define KPIs. So what do you want to achieve and what you want to track. That's first step.
Keep
then
it simple.
yeah, that's, you can start from there and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I will add on top of this, start to measuring right the signals. Start to setting up analytics in your first day when you are starting, and be sure that everything is set up in the right way, because you need to receive the right signals to not be in the position where the not right signals is common.
What is an example of a right signal?
For example, the analytical system that you are setting up, or MMP that you are setting up. Some people, they are making a lot of failures. From our clients, we saw a lot of time that maybe the attribution system is setting in the wrong way. The look back window is incorrect, let's say, or some Firebase is not passing the events in the right way. Some events coming, some not coming. Like, you need to be sure that your data stream is working exactly in the right way. I think it's the field.
Okay, yeah, if you have bugs in that, then you're screwed.
Yes.
Okay, Petros.
Yep, I completely agree with what my colleagues say, and I would add, I guess we should think more about the live ops. This is something that like it's out there like for 10 years already. I don't know, even more. But right now, even for the hybrid games, right? This is like the lowest entry genre. So still there you need the live ops, and it's not that hard to do that. So there are plenty of tools like the Unity have services, so you can easily have it in your game, and that somehow solve the CPI issue, fake ads issue, and everything. Basically, put it this way, your game becomes a service, not just a game for like a one-time purchase thing. So it's a service. So I would like to emphasize that all developers should, if not already, they should invest in live ops.
Okay. Thank you. Like when I was starting, I heard about live ops so many times, but I never understood the impact and how important it is. And so it is important. So I just want to add another example from my side of another thing that is important that I also never understood correctly. Like when I was starting, a lot of people they were telling me that whales are important because whales should make a lot of big part of your revenue. And then I looked at our analytics, and yes, it's true. Whales are spending a lot of money. For example, on Deep Town, a whale can spend up to $300, and I was like, wow, that's great and stuff. Now, I was wrong. This weren't the whales. And so I want to make clear for everyone what actual whale is so that they put their benchmark right. Whales on games are people who spend, one person spends maybe $300,000 per person. That would be mega whale. But it's important to know that they exist, because if in your game the most expensive thing that anyone can buy is just $99 package and then that would be it, then that person will come to your game and not pay his $300,000 that he was dreaming to pay, but you just don't have that way of doing that. So I think people don't understand that live ops is not just a little improvement, it's a huge improvement. And then understanding that super whales exist is also a huge improvement when you do the right things on top of that. Right? So yeah, I suppose, is there 2 minutes? We have 2 minutes? We can get 2 questions. Let's get to the questions. Cool. Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for staying with us. So 2 questions. Who has immediately 2 questions as one person? I'm just kidding. Yes. Can we...
So you mentioned whales, and I wanted to ask, is there a certain market that has the most whales? I thought about the Arabian Emirates. Are games targeting that specific market for whales?
I guess to me, right? If it's whales. So we never try to target Emirates, although I suppose Emirates will definitely have some cool whales. But what we noticed is that our whales are from US or Canada and places like that, actually, somehow. And in terms of markets, you get most whales on iOS, US, Canada. And these are people, they're not just rich and they just want to give you money. They're extremely passionate about your game. They want to play your game. So I suppose maybe in Emirates they have money, but they might not be as passionate about your game. But people in Canada and US, these are your target audience. They get super passionate. They have a lot of money. And you know what the thinking is, the way I imagine it, I just imagine it. It's not, I don't know if it's true. The way I imagine it is it's some kind of rich guy that that doesn't have much time, right? And he's playing competitively against guys who have a lot of time. So he's like, this is unfair. This student from somewhere, he has a ton of time. I don't have time, but I want to win him. And this is why he wails. He is like, I want to use the money that I make with that time and win them. This is the mentality of whale I noticed so far. So US, Canada, not Emirates.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And one more question? Yes.
Okay, were you talking about mobile games that people can spend $300,000?
Yes.
Really?
I know a case of $1 million. I know that guy who spent $1 million on a game throughout 1 year, and he loves that game. He just has a lot of money. It's okay. And the thing is that game allows that. It's okay. He's an ordinary guy, just. And he's like, I enjoy it. I asked him like, what do you feel when you do in-app purchase in game? And he's like, it's just like buying a video card, like a new GPU for your computer. You feel all fancy and nice a day, and then tomorrow that feeling is gone and you want to do it again, and I have money to do it, so thank you very much. And that's what happens. Like, it's actual true, it happens. And it's very important for game developers to know that, because if you don't know that, you do not have that price tag in your game. And of course, there is no item that costs you $1 million. You do it like 100 per day and it piles up. So yeah, you can increase. No, they're actually super smart. If they don't like even a bit, if they think you're being unfair, if you're doing something not right, they will get angry. They're not stupid. Like $1 to spend on a game, they're smart. Trust me, they're super smart. It's just, it has to be worth it for them. Maybe for you it will sound like, come on, but for them, totally worth it. So yeah, I guess that's all for our. We have one more. Oh my God, we're so generous. Yes, you that guy over there. There is.
Talking about that whales, main question I want to ask is, what is motivation for them? What is motivating them to spend so much money on game?
It's being competitive. They wanna show that they still got it. For them, if it's a game that has PvP in it, then it's a bunch of people. It's a competition, and the way he thinks is like, let me show this young guy who the boss is. Really, he does think that. I talked with several people, and that's his motivation. You think like for him it would be stupid, like pay to win. It's not really cool, and it wasn't skill. But like he put a lot of skill. Like he's probably amazing at that game. He's just topping that with $1,000 on top to just seal the deal. That's the motivation. And for him, like that whole dopamine in the game that he things flying, things getting fast, he feels great about it. It's a casino kind of feel. It's just not a casino, it's a game, it's an entertainment, but he has the same dopamine kind of thing happening.
It means we can get that amount money only on competitive multiplayer games?
No, you can get it on games that have a long progression, and then it gets slow, and then you get money to make it fast, and then it's dopamine again. But you will get a lot more on competitive games. It's true. Because that part where someone is better than them, it really works. You don't need a real-time PvP, by the way. It can be async PvP. As long as there is other guy that he knows about that he hates, it's going to work.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We done? Cool. Well, thank you very much. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for your time. It was nice. Okay, let's go.